One. Hey, I am Darren Nevares. This is Fast Times Darren. I don't know what episode we're on, but hey, how you doing? And today, special episode, we're gonna go over a piece by the Center for American Progress slash their campus program, which I think is American something something something. I can't really remember. But anyways, they did a report back in 2012 about the differences between um, conservative money and liberal slash progressive money in the youth. And this is from 2012. And some of the same problems back then, they affect now too, especially since if anything, it got worse. So let's just dive right into it. And I got pulled up on my screen right here. And this is Center for American Progress, Campus Progress, comparing conservative and progressive investment in America's youth. Ann Johnson and Tobin Van Ostern. Don't know if I said that right. December 2012. And you could look this up. The link will be in the description below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, by the way. Say, okay, I'm just going to go over a few points here. Introduction, blah, blah, blah. Introduction. Millennial generation is the largest, most diverse, most progressive generation in American history. Young Americans between the ages of 12 to 29 comprise the millennial generation. And I think the age now is I think it's like 25 to 40 or so is the millennial generation. I could be wrong. Is what it is currently. But it's somewhere in there. Because if we do make up if we actually all voted, we would make up the biggest voting bloc, I think. 49 million Americans are considered millennials. In 2012, they surpassed the 39 million strong block of voters older than 65. But the 2020 election, this is kind of important because it kind of goes back just 8 years ago, but it's talking more about the 2020 election. I mean, it's perceivably happening. It shows the effects of what has been going on for decades, how it has effects in our current electoral politics. And I think that's kind of a fun, interesting thing because there's a lot of shit going on, and let's look back in a more cheerful light. 2012, kind of. I mean, hey, if you know the world's going to end in 2011 or 2012, it might be ending in 2020. Ha! But yeah, let's do it. Okay. So, millennials are already begun and will continue to shape America's increasingly diverse culture, with 44% identifying as people of color, according to a recent Campus Progress analysis. Which, I mean, okay, I have to look at that, actually see how they did their analysis. Hey, whatever. Additionally, 44% of young Americans consider themselves liberal or progressive, as opposed to 28% who identify as conservative or libertarian. Which that probably has changed by now. I think there was a recent study that showed most millennials are favorable for socialism, because this is the thing with millennials. Before Bernie ran twice, and Trump ran, and Trump won, and I think the landscape has changed drastically among these demographics. But it's still interesting to actually look at this. Libertarians in particular are well positioned to win over young supporters on social issues. Yeah, it makes sense. There's a few orgs that are really pushing for some social change that are libertarian, and make a renewal argument regarding the role of government, converge of the 2012 elections. It included the numerous young conservatives expressing relief that they can reset the Republican Party's values around race and sex. Brad Dayspring, the director of the Young Guns Action Fund, Super PAC, which focuses on helping young American challengers win in Democratic-leaning areas, and former aide for the Rep. Eric Cantor, Virginia, said recently that, broadly, we have to find a way to communicate on these issues in a way that doesn't scare people. Which that's what most of youth politics is, trying to convey a message that doesn't scare people. So clearly conservative recognize the millennials are increasingly assuming a larger role in choosing our leaders and determining issues that dominate our political dialogue. So yeah, long-term policy debates will hinge on their perspectives and engagement of the millennial generation. And I mean, you can see we see this in millennials right now, where how much we are pushing for it. But you also see this in now more recently the Gen Z, which are becoming more increasingly able to vote. So that's why there's more youth-centered politics focused on. There's more focused politics focused on. So we see this with more like Generation Z, which do this a lot with the political organizations on campuses and going towards to high schools to focus in on the voting and registration of like brand new voters, because we got a whole generation turning 18 every fucking year that we need to tap into. I'm talking about progressives, socialists, whatever, liberals even. You need to tap into this voting generation, because there's a thing. If you can get someone to vote at a young age, typically the party or whatever they are with when they are younger, you got almost a surefire bet that they will continue repeatedly voting for that same party. Like 8 out of 10 times probably. Um, Continue out throughout their life. So you could have strong people with a strong voting base just if you register them to vote. It's fun. It's great. And we got conservatives are not new to this effort. This is clear in the number of conservative groups aimed at young adults. Here we go. Such as the YAF and Collegiate Network and the Young Americans Foundation. Right here. If I could highlight it. Nope. Will let me highlight it? No, will not let me hide it. There we go. Highlight. Fuck it, shit. Which these groups are provided, including financial support. Conservatives have invested heavily in long-term leadership development organizations that provide trainings, internships, fellowships to conservatives starting in college and continuing through postgraduate life. And this is where, like, even just Democrats alone, Democrats and liberals, they have a very hard time just doing this. Where it's mostly just, all right, okay, so we have conservatives have invested heavily in long-term leadership development organizations that provide trainings, internships, fellowships to conservatives starting in college and continuing through postgraduate life. And this is essentially true, because most Democrats and liberals and progressives, they have there's no infrastructure for us yet. Like, there really isn't. We have to build it, and like we're not going to get really. It's gonna be hard for us to really get anything done and actually develop great leaders, or without a proper base, without a proper structure that is financially stable, continuously growing, and encourages um, like actual leadership and continuous individual growth with each leader that we put in. And this is the struggle that that most of these liberal orgs have, and it's just bad. It's really fucking bad. But and it's growth. I mean, okay. So what we got? We got evidence to recent 2012 election with progressive movement already boasts a huge advantage with millennial voters, with 60% young voters supporting President Barack Obama compared to Republican candidate and former Massachusetts Governor Mitt Romney, 37%. Yeah, okay. Young voters also made the difference in deciding numerous progressive ballot initiatives, such as Proposition 30 in California, which raised taxes on the wealthy to fund public higher education. But the battle over ideology will only grow more intense as the youth electorate expands, allowing conservatives to outpace, and outmaneuver when it comes to young adults could lead to irreversible costly and easily preventable losses for progressives in the future. And we are seeing this rapidly. And this whole video mostly, the whole message of the video is to, I don't know, maybe convince or have a warning that progressives and liberals need to get on their fucking game. We're fucking up, and we have been fucking up for the past 30 fucking years. I mean, that's also due to neoliberal fucking policies. Um, Democrats really not helping out with most social movements going on. Like, they do fucking bullshit legislation that is bullshit. And then at this point, currently, we have socialism as an idea, kind of, that is rising. It's becoming more popular, and yet the Democrats aren't really doing anything. They're doing fucking pandering bullshit that doesn't really help anything. It's false promises, false bullshit. That's all it is. Yeah. Which shows the specific financial and staffing advantages for conservative youth organizations. Yeah, okay, so historical background of the study. From the 2008 book Youth to Power, How Today's Young Voters Are Building Tomorrow's Progressive Majority. The conservative youth factor. Let me fucking see it. I'm reading this on a screen. They have 3 monitors over here. I'm reading this on this screen. I'm kind of happy to hold it and read it like an actual fucking tablet. Like, I can't even, can I get in the frame? This is like the screen. But yeah. Okay, so I'm reading this. Basically, it's saying, contrary to recent political mythology, Karl Rove was not some genius that came out of nowhere to single-handedly shape a new conservative majority. So blah blah. Spent organizations like the College Republican National Committee, along with the experience of get out the vote, training, and indirect advocacy, which, for the most part, conservatives do it better. They have a whole network already at their disposal. And the Democrats don't really got a lot going on for them. But okay, so this whole report, I'm just saying. Similarly, a pundit like In Culture doesn't do it all by herself. It is a product of right-wing media machine comprised of talk radio, websites like Town Hall, and Free Republic magazines like The American Spectator, and of course, Fox News. Rove and Culture are 2 of the most famous products of conservative training and leadership development that has churned out highly skilled activists for almost 3 decades. And we are getting it to almost 4 decades at this point. Since around the 80s, mid 70s, early 80s. So behind the machines lies a massively funded network of organizations whose sole purpose is to expand conservative influence on college campuses, recruit young voters, and to groom to the next generation of right-wing political operatives. It is incredibly efficient, a system that pumps up experienced ground troops and deputies for the Republican campaigns, trains media-savvy spokespersons to mouth Republican talking points, and influences debates, impressionable students on college campuses, and provides journalism training, publication opportunities, and book contracts to up-and-coming conservative thinkers. We're talking about think tanks. We're talking about talking points that are professionally created and crafted to serve donors. That's what it is. The Democrats do this shit too, just not in a very effective way. Some of these organizations are the Leadership Institute, Young Americans Foundation, Young Americans for Freedom, the Heritage Institute, and the well-funded College Republican National Committee. Conservatives have done their best over 3 years to recruit new talent into their movement, no matter the political climate, from the height of Reagan's popularity through the rise of Generation X, stretching even now into a time when conservative popularity among youth is at a low EBB. EBB? The Conservative Youth Factory has always been there to create infrastructure to maximize its support among young voters, as well as helping to professionalize its newest activists. Which is, again, it's basically this machine that keeps the funneling the loop. It's like, hey, we get more people elected. If we get more people elected, we get more donors. If we get more donors, we get more money to keep pumping the loop. It's a cycle over and over and over again. It sucks. We got to do better. Okay, so when resources reach and effectiveness, the conservative youth factory far surpasses its progressive counterpart. Contrary to what pundits touting values voters would have you believe, it is primarily this machine, not a shift in the ideology of average citizens, that has been largely responsible for the recent conservative domination of government, progressives begin to build a youth movement of their own and make the long-delayed investments in their next generation of activists. It is instructive to take a look at the infrastructure that conservatives have created. And we should. I'm not saying copy the conservative movement in any way, but if it works, it works. We just got to be better. We got the people. Like, let's be honest. We got the people. It's just about investing into actual leaders and actual people, investing into these people, and getting the values and things that we want to see out of our money. Exactly what it is. It's not even our money. I mean, really, it's billionaires. It's everything like those that funds youth groups or the political organizations all over campus, all over America, no matter what side you're on, right or left. Hey, don't forget to watch Sarah's new video on the channel. It'll be linked up around here, right here. Somewhere. Go to it. Right there. I think it's in the top left, right of the screen. My left, your right. So don't forget to watch it. Great, thank you. Left. And the conservative money machine. The hard conservative movement are 5 large foundations. The Scaife Foundation, the John M. Olin Foundation, which closed down in 2005, the Bradley Foundation, the Koch Family Foundations, and the Adolf Kors Foundation, and its offshoot, the Castle Rock Foundation. Since the late 1960s, these foundations have bankrolled most of the conservative infrastructure in the United States, providing money for organizations like the Heritage Foundation and the premier conservative think tank, as well as hundreds of other groups dedicated to promoting conservative principles such as less government, lower taxes, and American dominance of the international stage. Joined by dozens of smaller foundations, the 5 major foundations have invested billions of dollars in every aspect of the conservative movement, from magazines, books, to grassroots activism and leadership development. And I mean, look, we're in 2020. We see that. I mean, the DSA just passed what 70,000. It's on its way to getting 80,000 members. The DSA alone, and roughly new YDSA chapters are popping all over campuses in America. Like it's becoming more polarized, obviously, and like the DSA Education Fund is getting more donations. I think they just raised about 2 million in donors, as opposed to I think last year it was like less than 1 million. I think it was like 500,000, and now it's like 2 million, and the year hasn't ended yet, which is insane. With like I think it's like over almost I think it's over 70,000. I think and it's on its way to 80,000 members for the DSA. The YDSA thinks it's way less, but it's still growing. And they're investing in their leaders. They're investing in all this shit, and that's what we need to see, and that's what we have needed for the past few decades. Because it's kind of hard to compete. Not gonna lie. So since 1970s, foundations have also been the major funders of the conservative youth movement, providing its wealth support far exceeds what those on the progressive side of the aisle have received. To illustrate just how great disparity between the progressive and conservative youth funding is considered, between 1999 and 2003, right-wing foundations granted nearly $173 million to the top 11 conservative youth leadership organizations, including Leadership Institute, Young Americans Foundation, Intercollegiate Studies Institute, Federalist Society, David Horowitz Center of the Study of Popular Culture. That's insane. In 2003 alone, conservative leadership organizations received $48.9 million compared to only $10.8 million when it's comparable progressive organizations. As a basis of comparison, the Democracy Alliance, the progressive answer to the conservative money machine, gave just $50 million to all of its grantees in its first 2 years of operation. Which, again, great. Doing good. We're okay. No, we're not. Like, we're getting, here's the problem. We need to build infrastructure really fast because it's going to take like, at least 2 decades. Probably not to even catch up. We have to outspend them. We have to outspend and recruit more. Because if you're not recruiting, if you're not growing, you're dying. That's the whole fucking purpose of it. It doesn't matter what policies we have. It doesn't really matter how great we are. I'm not even fucking saying this, but it's like The Democrats got to move more left. I'm not gonna lie. The Democrats have to move more left. They have to stop fucking giving out bullshit liberal fucking talking points. Like, you want to raise great activists, then give them something to fucking fight for fuck's sake. Yeah, equally important is the manner in which conservative money is dispersed. Unlike inconsistent grants, distribution patterns of progressive institutions to either youth organizations, which can spool up around national elections and focus solely on boosting young voter registration, which is true. The get out the vote, get out the vote, get out the vote, yeah, get out the vote movements in the most of the progressive and liberal organizations. They only happen around like voting election time, and stupid. Where you have like some organizations for the conservative movement are like year-round voter registration. Maybe not pushing at that. Maybe not pushing it as hard, but they are doing it. But like just in Texas alone, we have more progressive organizations actually pushing year-round voter registration, which is important, especially on a local level, especially flipping certain states and flipping certain counties. It's important, especially get freshmen and high school seniors to vote. Because I mean, hey, if conservatives think we're doing some sort of Marxist fucking professor, you know, brainwashing or something. I think that's complete, like, that's a farce, but like, stupid. It's not, but we could, hey, we could use it to advantage, right? So yes, frequently these grants are also earmarked for general funds, which allow the recipient to spend money freely on any project they choose or just build up cash reserves, which is important. If you have more money, you can also leverage more money. You can spend more money and hopefully get more, more bang for your buck, essentially, right? And then you have all these opportunities to make more money, which is fun. Okay, let's keep going. Comparison data. Conservative youth groups have more assets than their progressive counterparts. The top 5 conservative youth groups and their assets according to 2009 data. I think this is right. Yeah, I think that's good. So this is from, what year is this? From 2009. It's over a decade ago. Okay. So we got YAF, right? Young Americans Foundation. We got 41 million. This is just an asset, I think. The Fund for American Studies, 22, almost 23 million. Intercollegiate Studies Institute, 18 mil. Leadership Institute, 13.9 mil, almost 14 mil. The Federalist Society is 9.7, almost 9.8 million. And this is just an assets. Conservative groups spend more on youth engagement compared from 2008 to 2010. They spend more. So, okay, 2008, 87 million is spent for conservatives. 32 million is spent on progressives. 83 million for conservatives in 2009. 26.6 million for progressives. 76.9 for conservatives. 28.7 for progressives. This is bad. Still gap exists between spending on the right and left, and it's significant. It's true both from a cumulative perspective and an organizational basis. All 5 of the top 5 spenders in the youth engagement sector that's spending money on programming aimed at youth people were conservatives. Additionally, having significant assets allow conservative elements to rely on existing resources in years when their fundraising drops. So even if they have a low fundraising turnout, they have enough assets to actually keep them afloat and keep pumping out things. This again, if you can get enough assets, you can actually leverage these things effectively. If you can actually leverage them effectively, you have more wealth to actually, spend on things. I mean, hey, we gotta win somehow, right? This has to be. So after the 2008 election, for example, Young Americans Foundation saw fundraising drop by 7.9 million, while spending fell by only 3.5 million, and they could do it. They could do it because they have assets. Okay, let's look at this. Despite having fewer youth organizations than the left, 38 progressive groups to 25 conservative groups. I think this is probably has changed drastically now, especially in the last 5 years or so. Yeah. So 38 progressive groups to 25 conservative groups. The conservative groups employ more than 60% more staff members overall. Jeez. Groups employ more than 60. Yeah, which is true. Okay, hey, there's also one thing that progressive groups and a lot of political groups in general need to do, which is stop. If you have a position for your job, do not do it's a competitive salary. At least say the salary is what the salary is, or a range, or what the salary is. That helps a lot. It really does. Like, okay, say I applied for a DSA job, you know, and the salary was 42.5k to 47.5k, and it was a union benefits, and I could, and for whatever I needed, I could just go and look up the union contract that was already signed and see everything, all the benefits, and everything laid out in front of me. Whatever I was going to get, that's what it was. That's how most jobs should be. Is like, hey, here's a detailed thing of what you're if you get this job, what you're gonna get. Here's a salary breakdown of what we're looking for. That should be pretty fucking simple. Especially if you're doing a political job. Do not do, do not do, especially progressive jobs. Do not do competitive salary. Because if that competitive salary is not at least 38k, or it's not like it's not worth it. Especially in this fucking climate. So yeah, okay. So progressive groups have fewer overall employees. I don't know if you can see the chart. Okay, yeah, I can see the chart. So progressive youth, right here, 275. Conservative groups have 355. So yeah, wait. So furthermore, the amount of pay is substantial within conservative organizations, ranging from hourly wages to fellowships that can each exceed 50,000 annually, as in the case with the fellowship at the Federalist Society. Insane. Key findings on fundraising, asset, and spending. Conservative movement recognizes today's youth are tomorrow's leaders, as progressives should. This isn't even like this is not even like bashing conservatives at this point. This is bashing progressives for not doing their fucking job of investing in leaders. So yeah, considerable amount of money in future generations of conservatives. This finding isn't just an investment in youth leaders; it's also an investment in future conservatism. In the broad fundraising base for conservative youth organizations. For hundreds of foundations doing our for doling out grants to broad, low-dollar fundraising programs. The entire conservative movement has invested heavily in developing its young leaders. Okay, yeah. So YAF, for example, disclosed in their annual 990 tax form that they spent 1.4 million in 2010 on direct mail fundraising that ended up raising 4.7 million. That's actually a pretty decent thing. A net return of 3.3 million. The investments are not simply made to raise funds, but also to cultivate and maintain loyalty from a broader conservative base. So, yeah. It's a lot. We need this. We need this, and it's sad. We just I see an improvement now, but it's not enough. We need to keep expanding. We need if we have a base, we need to get actual activist leaders on campuses and do a better part than just this. Okay, so spending more time implementing rather than trying to secure a high number of smaller grants each year. In contrast, annual financial assets for progressive organizations rarely equal or surpass their annual expenditures, according to our analysis. So they aren't even cutting. They aren't even like they're most progressive things are a loss. One additional area for analysis is that progressive organizations often exist at the state level instead of the national level, such as the Bus Federation and student ergs. Public interest research groups. From an analogical perspective, these splits up their budgets into separate state budgets. Okay. From pragmatic perspective, this results in more local control over resources. That's true. This area requires further analysis into understanding the strategy behind such an approach, as well as what impact it has on the broader progressive movement. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, actually, I have noticed that. Like a lot of progressive orgs, they are only a lot. A lot of them are only centered around the state level, and I don't know why. Like there is progressive and socialist orgs that are like national. We got the DSA. You got I guess Move On isn't not it's not really a I mean it's an org for like liberal like petitions, right? Um, I can't think of one. Wow. Yeah, I really can't think of one. I We have unions. Yeah, we have unions. Like we have, I mean, they're like more. Even the unions are done like by region. I mean, we can get a whole bunch of IWW unions on campuses, I guess. A bunch of wobbles. So yeah, so okay, so we got the conservative groups' investment in more in land and buildings. So yeah, so many conservative youth groups buy their buildings and land, while progressive ones do not. So we got again, yeah, land investment. So land investment total from I think I don't even know what year this is. What year is this? This is 20. I don't know what year this is. Okay. So, anyways, whatever year is this 2012 or okay, whatever. So total 10 million, roughly almost 10 million for land investments by conservative groups. And building investments is 33.3 million. So they have land investments. And they also have building investments. So they build it. But progressives rent out their fucking shit. You got conservatives just buying their shit and building it. See, here's the thing, and I think this thing goes into it later on. With examining public data more available, conservative youth, more progressive youth groups are either sub-programs of large organizations or founded after 2009, which means that their annual non-profit disclosures have not yet been released publicly. For analytical purposes, this results in fewer youth-specific budgets to compare to conservative budgets. From an organization perspective, it also highlights an important difference between the conservative and progressive youth infrastructure dedicated resources. Yeah. Okay, so here we have this. Annual budgets of the top 5 youth groups by size of the group. 53 million for top 5 conservative groups. 23 million for top 5 progressive groups. And this has changed like over the past like 10 years. But it's still heavily bad. The conservative group organizations have built core competencies in broad programming areas geared toward ingraining conservative values in young people, followed by trainings on activism and journalism to ensure that young people have the skills needed to implement their values. So you got the Collegiate Network to help train young conservative journalists, and yeah, it's throughout the rest of the movement's infrastructure, such as the Koch Institute. And progressives need to do this. We need more think tanks, national think tanks, like that are good, that give us like internships and grants and whatever we can to build more programs, to, just to have some type of fighting chance for change, at least for change. Oh yeah. So wait. So while the 5 conservative organizations with the largest expenditure in 2010, which is Federal Society Fund American Studies, Institute of Humane Studies, and Leadership Institute, had a budget of nearly 53 million. The 5 largest progressive youth organizations: Feminist Majority, the Gay, Lesbian, Straight Education Network, Advocates for Youth, Center for Progressive Leadership, and Rock the Vote spent more than 23 million. Of those analyzed, only 4 conservative youth organizations had budgeted under 1 million. Wow. So yeah, these organizations are focused on growing their movements by cultivating conservative values and developing future leaders. Meanwhile, most progressive organizations are narrowly focused on either a specific group among millennial youth, such as immigrants, or on a specific issue area, such as abortion or the environment. While many young people care more about specific issues than about broad ideology, groups on the left must strengthen the connection between issues and progressive values to meet the conservative attacks and to build a healthy, long-term progressive infrastructure. Ultimately, the progressive movement itself ends up with a less of a core infrastructure or an intentional movement, while wide leadership pipeline than the conservative movements, which is true. So, long-term investment on individuals. So the conservative youth infrastructure has more evident in the leadership pipeline, which carries youth conservatives through their 20s and early 30s, whether it be in college, post-college, graduate school, or employment focused on politics or policy. Beginning in college, many students are exposed to programs specifically geared toward conservatism and liberty that have been backed by investments from the Koch brothers and other conservative funders. Take, for example, the Institute for Humane Studies, which has the largest number of staff members of any youth organization. The Koch brothers used the coffers of the organization to purchase tenured professorships at colleges and universities and offer fellowships to students in those programs. So historical trends. The financial disparities are not new to the youth engagement sector. 2006 report by Young People for a progressive organization that trains young leaders in civic engagement examined similar data and similar findings. While investment on both sides has increased since 2006 report, the gap between the two sides of spending still exists and continues to grow. Um, fucking shit. So you got the annual budgets of the top 5 youth groups for 2010 spending. So this is the 2003. You got progressives 11 million, and you got conservatives 50 million. You got progressives 28.8 million. Okay, and you got 77.3 million. This is bad. What else we got? So the conservative movement has done well in this regard, creating training programs and fostering opportunities for young conservatives and libertarians to learn more about the movement. In fact, as the broadest split between young people and conservative values tends to be around social issues, libertarians organizations in particular are well positioned to put aside those issues in an attempt to win over the millennial generation. Um, what else we got? Methodology. Yes, I don't need that. Okay, well that's the end of the video. Basically, this whole thing, right, is my kind of a big gripe that we still need a lot of work to do, a lot of work to actually get things going, a lot of work to actually make things function for progressives, and it's in this weird situation that a lot of like progressives in general need a lot of work, and we do. Just we need to get media trained. We need to have more journalism. Not just liberal journalism, but we need actual Marxist critiques of things. We actually need socialist critiques. You want to keep going and not just have the same old same old. You got to give youth activists something to fight for. That's a key movement. We need to have a progressive movement, not just on social issues, economic issues, environmental issues. To have a progressive movement that's built and is sturdy. And how to do that exactly, that's a little bit above my pay grade, which my pay grade right now is like $0. So hey, if you want to support the show, don't forget to listen to us on Anchor or donate to us some way, or follow me on Twitter. But yeah, this whole thing is we need to do better. We just need to do better. It's just the thing. We need to do better. That's all I'm gonna say. We need to do fucking better. Progressives need to take this chance. I mean, okay, I'll be completely honest. Look at the MAGA crowd. It's huge, and if we can look, we're gonna okay. Look, after this election, we're gonna have about 4 years to get a whole crowd and a whole progressive movement. We gotta have leadership training. We need to have media training. We need to have journalism training, and we need to have jobs ready for progressive leaders to actually want to participate in the system. Not just on campaigns, but in different aspects of lives. I don't care if they actually go into politics. I don't. You got to have progressive leaders and have progressive values in any way that they choose to live. If they want to become teachers, great, have progressive socialist values. If they want to be garbage, pick up garbage. Was it sanitary engineers or whatever? Progressive values. I think the best way to do this is get the youth, probably get some high schoolers, increase unions, and increase. Well, first off, increase funding for all these things. That's probably the best way to do it. But increase everything that we can. That's just the best way to do it. And this isn't even a gripe about conservatives, because I mean, let's be honest, they've been doing this for decades, and it's been working for them. Even when they lose, they keep getting money. They have assets. They built up infrastructure that works for them. And I think the progressives need to at least start doing that. I mean, they have started doing that, but do it better. Like, if you see reporting coming out for the coming out for the conservatives, let's say just put in like 50 million, right, or 70 million. I want the progressives to give maybe 10% more than that every year afterwards. Whatever the year before the conservatives do, I want progressives to do it more. I want more money for them because we have more people, okay, but we also have less funding, which means we kind of are. We're this is a shit show. It's not sustainable.